Hello, Keith here, and welcome to the February 23 update on our battery and solar installation. And what a difference we've seen now that the batteries are fully online. It's now been over a month since the installers came out and we've had no further issues. The batteries are charging and discharging as they are supposed to. And we will touch on the impact the battery outage has had later in the video, but it's clear we'd have made more savings if we'd been able to use the batteries as designed during that 2.5 month period. And as a reminder, as I get asked quite often in the comments what we have installed, this is our installation. We have 16 Trina 385 watt solar panels. 9 panels are on the west facing roof, 7 panels are on the east facing roof, with a total installed solar capacity of 6.16 kilowatts. We also have 5 pylon batteries with a total storage capacity of 12 kilowatts, and we make use of a Solis 5G inverter. And in terms of orientation, you can see that we're slightly off a perfect north-south alignment. We are also in the southeast on the Essex coast. Weather-wise, we do get a lot of sunshine hours, but we also have reduced rainfall compared to the rest of the country. And being by the coast, we do get clear skies a lot of the time. So, as we cycle through the monthly representation of the solar day for our location, let's move on with the summary for February and show the difference we've seen by having the system fully operational again, as well as the impact of the longer days that we're now seeing. So, midway through the month on February the 15th, based on the data from timeanddate.com, the sun is rising in the direction of the southeast at 11 minutes past 7 in the morning, but it sets at 12 minutes past 5 in the afternoon, in the direction of the southwest. There's a total of 10 hours and 1 minute of daylight on this date. Compared to the 15th of January, the 15th of February has 1 hour and 40 minutes more daylight compared to the date in January. As we're getting closer to spring, the length of the solar day is rapidly increasing. At the middle of the day, the sun is 26 degrees above the horizon, 9 degrees higher than on the same date in January. Weather-wise, we basically had no rain at all in February. Our Netatmo weather station measured only 0.5 millimetre of rain in total, and our average for February, according to the data for the nearest Met Office weather station, is 32.7 millimetres, so we've had nothing at all. As a consequence, we've had quite a lot of sunshine, and that does show in our solar data for the month. And looking at our solar data, overall we averaged 8.1 kilowatt hours per day, in terms of generation, but we did manage 8 days where we generated over 10 kilowatt hours. Our worst day was the 12th of February, where we generated 2 kilowatt hours for that date. Our best day was the 27th of February, where we generated 14 kilowatt hours. And if we look at the 27th, despite there being many peaks due to cloud cover every now and then, we generated enough to be running 74% of our energy consumption from either the panels or from the batteries. And what a difference a month makes with regards to the batteries being back on stream. And do note that although this graph shows 71% self-use, the Solis dashboard does seem to underrepresent the import total. So I use the data from the Octopus Energy dashboard just purely because that's what I get billed. So of the 14 kilowatt hours that were generated, we used 5.4 kilowatt hours and sent 8 kilowatt hours to the batteries and exported 0.57 kilowatt hours back to the grid. And with the batteries, we used 10 kilowatt hours in total, and this is because the batteries get topped up to 20% full each night, which is the spike that you see on the graphs between 2 AM and 4 AM. And this was a consistent theme throughout the month, mainly because we're now fully able to utilise the batteries again. And here is our electricity usage split between grid import, battery usage, solar usage and grid export. The 27th of February was also our best day in terms of that split between solar generated usage and grid import. Our best export day was the 1st of February, where we exported 1.6 kilowatt hours back to the grid, and this was the day before our batteries were recommissioned. And here is the split between solar generation usage, panels and battery, and grid import for the month. As we've already mentioned, the 27th again was the best day in terms of the split between solar generation and grid import. But for the month, in total, 42% of our energy usage was from the solar panels and batteries, with 58% imported from the grid. And on 9 days we actually achieved over 50-50 split in generation. So overall, how did we do in February 2023? As we saw, 42% of our electricity consumption in February was through solar generation, either directly from the panels or from the battery. Overall, we generated 229 kilowatt hours of electricity, of which we used 132 kilowatt hours, exported 8 kilowatt hours, and sent 89 kilowatt hours to the battery. Our grid import cost for January was £140.47, and that was for 371 kilowatt hours. Our generated usage, had we not had that in place, would have cost an additional £94.36. So our total cost, if we hadn't had the solar generation and the battery storage in place, would have been £234.83 based on total house usage. We were also paid £1.14 for our exports up until the 27th of February. And this is obviously significantly lower because we're now sending our excess generation to the batteries. And this month has really shown the impact of not having the batteries operating over the previous 2.5 months. Our savings for February were 3 times what we saved in January. And while winter will have an impact on solar generation in terms of not being able to store that excess energy from the solar panels, this did mean that our bills were higher. Our total house usage of 640 kilowatt hours is only 10 kilowatt hours less than January, so it is on a par, and obviously this is the shortest month of the year. But our electricity bill will be £68 cheaper because we could store the energy rather than losing it to the grid for a much smaller benefit in terms of the export payments. It's also had an impact on our payback timeline, although come the end of summer that should be back on target. And talking of payback, we are now 6 months into running this solar installation, so later this month I'll give a review of our first 6 months and our experience so far. I also think the March overview next month will be interesting, because as we're getting into spring with longer days and stronger sunlight, we've already achieved one day where our consumption through solar generation has been 75% of our overall usage. So as always, let me know in the comments below if there's anything else you'd like to see, and if you found this video useful, please do like and subscribe, and I'll see you all for the next one.